Hey, this is David Hurley with Frog Fly Software, and in this video, I am going to compare the new Conversational Forms add-on for Gravity Forms. If you get the Elite plan, I think it's $259 a year. You can now create conversational forms, and I'm going to compare it to our upcoming release of our conversational settings for multi-page auto advance. So this is, I've gone ahead and just set up the back end for both of these to be very similar. So this is our conversational forms for multi-page auto advance, and I'll tell you what this little icon is at the bottom in a second. And then over here, we have the conversational forms add-on for gravity forms. All right, so we can just take a look at both of those to start with. All right, so if we go through, I'm just going to start with this one. We've got our form fields here. So I'm just going to go through, and this is using the same exact form. Now in here we have, it looks like in the back end, I've set up the accent colors. It gives us a background color option, accent color option, input accent color option, which is our checkboxes, drop down, stuff like that. Obviously our text colors. We can add logos in here. This is the logo in the upper left up here. And then we have the other image for the start screen or welcome screen. You can turn that on and off. And then I've got the same information from the other form in here as well. You can also adjust the footer background color. So if we go back to the front here, here's the footer background color. And these are all the settings for the conversational form area. I like this the ability here where you can actually go and just create a permalink for your form. That's kind of neat. And then you can also choose layout. So you've got just the center layout, looks like a right side image, left side image. And then you can also add, it looks like a background somewhere to the entire form itself. Okay. So let's go ahead and continue. So I'll just go ahead and make my selections here. Click continue, wealthy, continue, war, two concerns, continue. And I'm not sure, continue, no, continue. And then is our voice being represented in government? By the way, none of my selections here represent my views. I'm just going down the list and I figured this would be something that people can relate with right now. So I'll just put not at all, continue, and the outlook for our future. So I'll just put worried, and then we're going to view the results. Okay, so here is the results screen. Now let's go ahead and jump over to the multi-page auto advance version. And I'm just going to start by introducing you to the customizer. Now, it is nice to be able to adjust these colors and things on the back end, but one thing that I've realized is that people who are not building websites for a living have a hard time with this kind of stuff. So I wanted to make something that would make it very easy for just kind of a layman to create a conversational form on their website without having to know CSS and things like that. So if we choose our form theme, this is kind of the first step. I can go ahead and make an adjustment. Now, what's great about this is unlike over here, it's a solid color. We're using a gradient to allow for a little bit more forgiveness. So you can really, adjust your coloring and still see all of your imagery and things like that pretty easily. Obviously, if you go to black, well, it still looks fine. So I'm just going to do kind of a blue color there. I think that'll look nice. And then on this one, I'm also going to choose the body text color. I'll just go with a black color down here. Our footer background we'll get to in a minute. Footer text I'll get to in a minute. Buttons. I'm just going to brighten that up. our button text, button hover color, and buttons text hover. All right, and then we've got confirmation text, which we will also get to in a moment. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and save, click the icon again to close it, and now let's go ahead and start our form. So the layout is a little bit nicer, I think. Obviously, we've created this, so we wanted to create something we liked. I think it's a little bit more, not default form-like, which is nice. I'll go ahead and put my information in here. Click next. All right, so that just has that little slide up effect. And while we're on here, I'm going to go ahead and change my footer background color to something that's more, let's go with that. That looks nice. Right there. All right. So that looks nice there. And our footer text, I'm just going to change that to white. Get rid of that pink color. And there we go. So let's save this, close, and now we've got this nicely lined up here. All right. The other great thing about this is now you see, unlike the conversational forms for gravity forms, we're really focusing on the styling of it so that it looks nice without having, again, to go into CSS and things like that. Obviously, I don't expect the guys over at Gravity Forms to worry a whole lot about that because they're doing such a phenomenal job at actually creating a really robust form software. But we're just trying to take it a step further and make it so that it's a little bit more user friendly for the eyes, and you don't just end up with a conversational form that looks like a form that moves. Okay, so in this one, people can actually use their keys. So if I click A, it goes ahead and scrolls to the next question. Now you'll notice on the conversational forms add-on for gravity forms, I'm required to click the next button every time. We really jumped in the game with multi-page auto-advance by being able to manipulate those buttons and auto-advance based on the questions people are answering. So that's where multi-page auto-advance kind of got its start. We figured that creating this conversational aspect would be, a logical next step to adding on to that feature. And so that's why that's just baked right into the bottom of the conversational settings. So I'm going to go ahead and I can turn on the buttons or I can turn them off. So over here on our form settings, you see I've got the conversational form settings here. Okay, but if I go into my actual, I'll just leave this. If I go into my actual form itself, I can go in and edit the settings for each of these. Okay, so I can auto advance the form, hide the next button, hide previous buttons, turn them on and off as I see fit based on the field that I'm dealing with. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and just jump down to this one because that's the next one that I'll talk about. So let's just move through this. I'm going to click B here. Now, on this one, what are your top 2 concerns for the future? On the gravity forms conversational form option, it doesn't really give you the option to edit the selections. This has been something that has been requested by users of multi-page auto-advance, and so we're building it into the Pro version. So now with the Pro version, and this doesn't have to be conversational, the conversational settings are with the Plus version, but with the Pro version, you can now say, all right, I only want people to be able to make 2 selections and then move on to the next form field. So in this one, I'll pick D and I'll do A. And then it automatically advances to the next one. We've also built in a feature with the text box option where you can assign a certain number of characters. So this again was something that was requested by users. They wanted the ability to just say, hey, after somebody enters zip code, I'd like that to go ahead and go to the next step of my form. We didn't have that for the longest time, but now we do. So with that, if you've got something that's always going to be the same, let's say 4 characters for a lunch number, or your zip codes, which are going to be the same numbers or the same number of characters, you can do that to where people enter that, and then it will go on to the next step. Okay, so is our election system secure? I'm not sure. Justice system is fair. Let's just click B and B. All right, and then what best describes our outlook for the future? And again, I'll just put worried. And in that last one, you know that it just auto-advanced right to the confirmation screen in the settings for multi-page auto-advance on that very last question. It'll ask you if you want to auto-advance the form, and if so, then that's just going to auto-complete. Okay, so that will just auto-complete that form on the last question. All right, so let's get back to this. All right, here is the final screen, the final layout, and we've got all of our answers in here. On this page, we now have setting, or the last color setting, which is our confirmation text. So I can go in here and adjust any text on this page. So I'll just give it this darker red color and save this down, and that's it. Okay. Now, just to jump into our form settings, I showed you briefly for each one of your questions, you have the ability to choose whether you want to hide the next button, auto advance, hide previous button. You'll see that there's also a side image option. That is because this does come with the ability to add a side image per question. I don't think, let me go back over here to gravityforms version and see if they have that option. Let's see. It doesn't look like they do. I think it must just be the ability to add the image, and the same image stays each time. With ours, you can actually choose a different image that can correspond with the question that you're asking. And this can be great for, anything from quizzes to polls to, just asking questions on a corporate website. You can add the image that's going to make sense for that particular question. Get back over here, and you can upload that image just by adding the image, and it'll go ahead and add that link in there. And then in your settings area, I'm just going to save this, but in our settings area, if we go to auto advance, and we'll scroll down. All right, you see that it gives us the page. So unlike the gravityforms version where you actually type in the permalink, in our version, you actually just create a page and then you choose that page. Okay, so just choose the page, click it, and it'll put it on there. Your form layout, we can have no image, image left or image right. Right now we're working with no image. We have our image, or our intro image, which is the graphic that was on the front, our intro heading, and our intro description. The form style options are just the colors that you've selected throughout the front end settings area. And that's it. Up at the top here, you'll see Auto Advance Base. So what this does is this gives you the ability to choose from the 3 different options. Your basic gravityforms, or excuse me, your basic multi-page auto advance is the free version. If you get the free version, you will have this, and you'll be able to do the things that you saw where you can enable the next button, turn off previous button, etc., auto advance, things like that. It is limited on what kind of forms that can be used with. You can't use it with product fields. You can't use it with your polls. Actually, I think you can use it with your polls, but it's limited down to the foundational functionality of multi-page auto advance. Then you have your auto advance with animations. That's your pro version. And this just gives you the ability to have a regular form, but you can now move your questions. So this is slide up. I can fade it, slide left, etc. And then I can adjust my step colors for that. So if you look at Gravity Forms and you've got the steps at the top of your page, you can actually adjust your inactive step colors, your active step colors, and your completed step colors. So it gives you the ability to make some quick and easy adjustments to that, again, without having to know CSS and things that'll limit you ultimately if you're not savvy with coding. All right, so I'll just save those settings. Anyways, that is the comparison between the Gravity Forms Conversational Forms add-on and the new Plus version, which includes the Conversational Forms settings for multi-page auto advance. Go ahead and check it out. I'll let you decide which one is right for you. And then I hope to work with us at Froggy Fly to get your next conversational form or just your gravity form set up to be something spectacular and start increasing the conversions on those forms. Take care.